Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to MediaViral. My name is Jamie and today we'll be counting down 10 of the worst viruses in history. Before we start, if you're new around here, then please make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon to never miss a notification, and like the video for more weekly list videos. With all that out the way, let's get straight into the list with the number 10 spot, which is going to be HIV and AIDS. HIV is said to be the biggest long-term killer as it's still infecting people every year. There's no cure for it, and currently the only way to get rid of HIV in humans would be to kill off every single human being with the virus. 2/3 of people currently with the virus worldwide are within Africa, which is a third world continent. And because countries within Africa have less access to medicines, they have no way of being able to prolong their life with the various drugs or medicines which we have in the first world, which help us to prolong our lifespan. And though we have access to these drugs which prolong our lifespan, we still don't have anything which fully cures the virus. Due to different belief systems inside of African nations, contraception is not commonly used, and those who wish to use contraception simply don't have access to it like in the first world, just adding to the problem of spreading HIV. In at number 9 is the plague. Plague is second to smallpox with death toll and has different types: pneumonic plague, Justinian plague, and the most known type is the bubonic plague. The bubonic plague is a severely deadly disease which causes swelling around the groin, neck and armpits, with skin sores turning black, giving them the name Black Death, which killed 25 million people from that one outbreak. The most recent outbreak of plague started in China in 1860 and didn't end until 1959, which resulted in 10 million deaths. Plague is still around today in certain parts of the world, with the most recent small outbreak in Madagascar in 2017 causing 2,300 cases, and it's said that the USA sees on average 7 people per year contracting the plague. But with advanced medicines, it doesn't pose such a risk to humans as it once did. In at number 8 is Ebola. Ebola didn't kill nearly as many people as other viruses on this list, but it had a mortality rate of 90%. Due to certain factors of the virus being contained within certain countries it infected, as the people often stayed within their little communities, meant that though this virus had a 90% mortality rate, the virus simply did not have a way to spread past those few thousand people it managed to find. In at number 7 is rabies. Although not commonly seen as a deadly virus nowadays, in the first world we have vaccinations against rabies. In the third world they're not so lucky. The third world is where the majority of annual deaths are contributed to due to a lack of vaccines and having more potential dangerous rabid animals compared to somewhere like the UK. Rabies, if treated, isn't much of a threat, but if untreated, it is said to have a 100% mortality rate. In at number 6 is smallpox. Killing 1 in every 3 people, smallpox was a huge deadly virus which you wouldn't want to come in contact with. Survivors were left with terrible permanent scarring and sometimes blindness. It is estimated that 90% of Native Americans were wiped out by European travelers settling onto their land and spreading the virus. As it was in Europe and the Europeans had built up somewhat of an immunity to the virus, the bodies of the Native Americans had never seen this virus before and were overwhelmed by this new antibody, which led to the 90% death rate. Smallpox was eradicated around the 1980s, although some still think that certain governments keep a small vial hidden away in case they will need it for a biological warfare. In at number 5 is hantavirus. Hantavirus was first seen in 1993 with a mortality rate of around 36%. Unlike other viruses on this list, hantavirus was not spread human to human, but rather from the drop-ins of diseased mice to humans, after the human had come in contact with the drop-ins. Originally, it was thought that this virus came from a mouse. In at number 4 is influenza. Influenza, commonly known as the flu, kills 500,000 people worldwide per flu season. The worst case of influenza the world has ever seen was in 1918, and is widely referred to as the Spanish flu, killing 50 million people and infecting a total of 40% of the world's population at that time. Although the misleading name of the Spanish flu, it didn't actually start off in Spain. It's unknown where the first location actually started from, but the first report of the Spanish flu was within Spain, hence giving it the name the Spanish flu. In at number 3 is dengue. First discovered in the Philippines and Thailand in the 50s, dengue is most seen in the tropical and subtropical regions of the planet due to the main carrier being mosquitoes, which are abundant in such countries, and it's thought that as global warming occurs and mosquitoes find themselves living in other parts of the world which are currently too cold for them, dengue will spread faster. Dengue infects between 50 to 100 million people per year, but with a mortality rate of only 2.5%. However, dengue can cause another virus called dengue hemorrhagic fever, which has a 20% mortality rate if left untreated. There is a vaccine for this virus. However, if you have the vaccine before you contract it and your body is not used to the virus, then you will actually induce dengue. So the vaccine still has improvements to make. In at number 2 is rotavirus. This is another disease on the list which is more common in the developing world opposed to the developed world. This disease affects babies mostly, and in 2008 it was reported that 453,000 babies under the age of 5 died as a result of rotavirus. Luckily, there are multiple vaccines available to defeat this virus. However, in the developing countries where vaccines are not available, this is still a problem. Death cases caused by rotavirus in countries that have since introduced the vaccines have significantly dropped. And in at number 1 is SARS. Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, or SARS, was first discovered in 2002 in Guangdong, China. The virus is said to descend from bats and civets eaten by people within this province. SARS spread to 26 countries within a 2-year gap, infecting 8,000 people and killing at least 770 people. SARS has an estimated 9.6 mortality rate with no vaccine. However, with no new cases popping up since the early 2000s, humanity hopefully will never need to create a vaccine for this virus. And as a bonus virus, I decided to put in SARS-CoV-2. The main virus which everyone currently knows about as of uploading this video is the coronavirus or COVID-19. As of uploading this video, COVID-19 is currently plaguing the whole world, locking down all non-essential businesses, and currently has a death toll of around 30,000 confirmed cases. Scientists have said the mortality rate of COVID-19 is only 1%, so compared to other viruses on this list, is not as bad as it could be. But do remember, there is currently no vaccine for this virus, and the virus is not 100% known as we are currently facing this pandemic. The mortality rate could rise by the time this is all blown over. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. That's going to be it for this video. Before I go, let me just say, if you could subscribe to the channel and like the video, that would be appreciated so much. And let me just leave you this thought of, what if we humans are the virus and coronavirus is the cure?